Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from around the globe. On behalf of Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada, I welcome all of you to our special edition of webinar titled Rethinking Cyber Resiliency. Before I welcome and introduce our guest, let me do the treaty recognition. Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada is located on original lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, Dene people, and on the original lands of Métis Nation. We all are promise bound to work together in the true spirit of reconciliation. Dear audience, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. And it is increasingly in an interconnected world that we live in, this topic has never been more relevant or urgent. Today, my special guest is Dr. Saltuk Karahan from Old Dominion University, United States of America. And I have a bit of interesting background with my guest today, which I'm really intrigued to share with you, the audience. Saltuk Karahan and I go far back, 1995, when I met a very promising and smart Turkish officer in Etimesgut Zilli Birlikler Okulu, means armored school, in Ankara. I was sent from Bangladesh Army to do my advanced basic course with this group of young officers, those who just got commissioned in their army. And this is how I met this young fellow, now a PhD, he teaches. And I used to call him and rather nicknamed him Brad Pitt because he was so smart. And he was one of the lieutenants, those who were with me in that course, who used to speak fluent English, beside Turkish, of course. And the idea in Turkish army is that you have to learn Turkish in order to undergo the course. And my friendship with him continued then 1.5 years, nearly 2 years, as I left Turkey. I spent time at his family home as well. And this is how I know our today's speaker. And it is an exceptional circumstances that Mr. Saltuk is in US now. And I hope he would share some of his journey to the current position and his expertise in cybersecurity. And definitely he's going to share some of his journey to this field itself, that what I expect. The audience, as we gather here virtually, we are reminded of the profound changes our world has undergone, particularly in the realm of cybersecurity. The digital landscape is continuously evolving, bringing with it new opportunities and unprecedented challenges. The recent spate of cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, financial systems, and even health sectors worldwide highlights the urgent need to rethink our approach of cyber resiliency. The audience. Globally, we have witnessed sophisticated cyber threats that transcend borders, impacting economies, governments, and societies at large. These threats underscore the importance of international cooperation and the development of robust, adaptive cyber defense mechanisms. Cyber resilience is not just about preventing attacks, but also about ensuring that we can recover quickly and effectively when they occur. In the context of North America, we have seen significant strides in cybersecurity measures, yet challenges remain. The increasing reliance on digital technologies, from smart cities to telemedicine, has expanded our vulnerability to cyber threats. In the United States and Canada, recent high-profile cyber incidents have prompted a re-examination of our cyber infrastructure and policies. These incidents serve as a wake-up call for businesses, governments, and individuals alike to prioritize cyber resilience. In this connection, let me also share with you, dear audience, I teach at University of Winnipeg and Canadian Mennonite University. And just a month and a half ago, we had suffered from a huge cyber attack. All our servers were down, our exams had to be rescheduled, and we are still recouping from the attack. The audience, a significant factor reshaping the cybersecurity domain is the advent of artificial intelligence. AI has emerged as a double-edged sword in the cyber realm. On one hand, AI-driven technologies enhance our ability to detect and respond to cyber threats with unprecedented speed and accuracy, and AI can analyze vast amount of data and identify anomalies and predict potential threats, thereby strengthening our defensive capabilities. On the other hand, malicious actors are also leveraging AI to develop more sophisticated and adaptive attack methods, challenging traditional security measures. Today's webinar aims to delve into these issues, exploring innovative strategies and best practices for enhancing cyber resiliency both globally and locally. We have assembled a distinguished group of scholars in the past, and now today in that series, Dr. Karahan will share his insights and experiences, offering diverse perspective on how we can better prepare for and respond to cyber threats in the era of increasingly influenced by artificial intelligence. As we embark on this discussion, I encourage you to think critically about the role you play in fostering a resilient cyber environment. Whether you are a policymaker, business leader, academic, or concerned citizen, your participation is crucial in shaping a safer digital future. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to stimulating and productive dialogue in the next couple of minutes. And let us now move forward with our speaker, Dr. Saltuk Karahan from Old Dominion University School of Cybersecurity, who will provide us an overview of the current cyber threat landscape and set the stage for our discussion. Our today's modus operandi is I will let Dr. Karahan to speak in the first half of our webinar, and then I will engage him with some of the questions taken from I'll take from the audience and from as well from my side. So without further ado, Dr. Karahan, floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kevser. If I may say that, then drop the doctors here. And I should start with maybe correcting the Brad Pitt thing. It was one of my friends has said that Brad Pitt after a terrible car accident. But thanks again. I'll start maybe like yourself. I have started a military career, and the nice thing about cybersecurity and the military connection is that the security mindset that you gain throughout your military career is very helpful in understanding cybersecurity as well. And as you know, I had a military career, and just to have a brief introduction to the audience as well about myself and my background, career background. I have worked in the Turkish military and at NATO in various posts. I had 1 year in Kabul, Afghanistan as a battalion commander. I did experimentation, which is like evaluation of the concepts and the military concepts, how they are affecting the future of warfare in the military, and innovation in that sense. So that's how I found myself in this intersection of technology and security landscape. And my first NATO job was as an experimentation officer, and then I came to the Capability Development Directorate as a chief of staff position, overseeing all the programs that are running into the capability development with either innovation in cybersecurity and all other areas of technology, basically, and technological development for warfare capabilities. So that's how my journey started. And with some political events, of course, unexpected events, I had changed my career from military to academia. And I found myself in my alma mater of PhD education, Old Dominion University, which is co-located in the same place where the NATO's Allied Command Transformation is. And this is Norfolk, Virginia, is for the audience, again, not knowing. Norfolk, Virginia is also the base for U.S. naval forces. So there are several aircraft carriers, there's Naval Air Force, and all that force is located in Norfolk, Virginia. And there's a very strong naval presence in addition to the NATO's command over here. So that's how I found myself at ODU, Old Dominion University School of Cybersecurity, and for the past 7-8 years with the research, starting with the research, then going into education. I am currently directing an undergraduate program at Old Dominion University, and we have 1,200, more than 1,200 undergraduate students at the university, and 250 master students. So that's the need that cybersecurity has. And there is a website built by one U.S. institution, National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, cyberseek.org, cyberseek.org. Anyone can look at that website. It shows the open jobs overall United States and in each state, and what are the pathways for different cybersecurity jobs. And the last time I checked, it was around maybe 700,000 open jobs. And in our region, in Virginia or Washington, D.C., Virginia area, more than 60,000 open jobs probably are waiting for cybersecurity workforce. So this is where the need is. But to go more into what we understand from cyber resilience and why we said it's cyber resilience is that because we have to, and this is an ongoing thing for a decade now, but the stereotypes about understanding cybersecurity, seeing it just hacking, seeing it just firewalls that we put around our computers, is very often misguiding. It has so many components, and it has so much interdisciplinary nature that we have to think about cybersecurity from several different perspectives to understand the whole nature of cybersecurity. And that's what I want to talk more about today in our brief conversation. So when we think about the tools and technology, as you have mentioned, with addition of AI, we think about utilizing advanced secure technologies and tools, sometimes to protect ourselves, sometimes to detect the threats and to respond to threats. And as many of us know, this includes like things like firewalls, some intrusion detection systems, antivirus software, and event information and event management, security information and event management systems that we call SIEMs. But that's not all about cybersecurity. There's other components like threat intelligence, gathering, analyzing what are the threats, what are the new things that are coming up, what are the new threats that are threatening our security environment. And this helps us to proactively adjust ourselves to defense. There are training and awareness, and we know that the human beings are the weakest links in this. So conducting the regular training and awareness program in every single organization and learning some best practices to respond to threats is part of that resilience as well. Despite all this, there will always be incidents, and how we respond to those incidents, how can we recover from them, how fast we can recover from them, how we govern all this, the leadership and governance aspect of cybersecurity. And overall, we come to the conclusion that all cybersecurity is about risk management. What we have a business, either as we had done in the military, conducting a warfare, or running a business making profit. And we never want our cybersecurity mindset to affect it in a negative way so that the business is disrupted. We are secure, but we cannot make any business. That doesn't make any sense at all. So the risk management approach, and how can we mitigate? Do we need to avoid this risk? Do we need to accept this risk? Deciding about this decision-making mechanism is the most important component of cybersecurity. Now, coming back to that overall resilience part, I want to talk more about the cyber workforce. Because although this is advanced technology is a critical component of cyber workforce, it is also critical that we have people who can guard us, and we at the very level, we ourselves as citizens, we are resilient and we are well aware that how to respond to any kind of cyber threat, any kind of attack that happens to us. But also we need several levels of workforce, and we have to prepare that workforce for several positions for several jobs in cybersecurity. Sorry about that. And that's why actually we have this program, like overall more than 1,500 students feeding the workforce. In academia, we are because when we go to conferences, when we have symposiums, it's always the research and getting better in the research. But this area in cybersecurity, and probably it's going to be the same thing with the data science too, has been an area where several layers of the workforce need to be filled, and we need the workforce for the basic analyst to manager and to overall governance of all cybersecurity, in addition to the research that we are doing. At School of Cybersecurity at Old Dominion University, for that specific reason, we have concentrated on making cybersecurity the sole area of interest and having a very interdisciplinary program. So, for example, when we have our students after their general education requirements are fulfilled, we want them to be well-rounded in all aspects of cybersecurity. They, as a core component of their courses, they take courses about cybersecurity, technology, and society, cybersecurity and social sciences, in addition to cybersecurity techniques, tools, and operations, or the fundamentals of cybersecurity, cyber law, and ethics of cybersecurity ethics. These are the core components of our program. And then, depending on their work role, again, this comes back to the workforce that we are building, depending on their interest, some of them are more interested in the policy making, and so they pursue a track in that area, and they learn more about how to strategize the cybersecurity awareness, how the policy can be shaped in that area. Some of them are more interested in offensive cybersecurity capabilities, so they take course about ethical hacking and more complicated, more cryptography-oriented courses, so they follow that path. So, but we need the workforce in all these areas, and as in any scientific field now, we want to keep them on pace with the developments in the technology too. Now that AI has become a crucial part of our everyday lives, we also want artificial intelligence to be incorporated into the courses and the prepare workforce in both ways that we can make use of AI. One of this aspect is having AI tools, several tools that are supported by the artificial intelligence in our response and in our detection systems, like what the hackers or the malicious actors are doing. We are trying to respond in our way with the use of AI. The other thing is that AI itself is a digital system, based on a digital system. So the security of AI is another research area that we want to have our focus on, so that we can make sure that the AI systems that we rely on are secure themselves. Any kind of disruption or manipulation in that system can cause a major societal disruption as well. This was part of the securing ourselves, but you also have mentioned that our societies very much now rely on information coming from several sources. So misinformation, disinformation, this is another aspect of cybersecurity that we need to look at. And our societal resilience comes from those securing our democratic systems, not only in the ways that our votes are counted, or we have a resilient and a strong democratic vote counting system, but also in a way that our minds are not shaped by any outside foreign influence. And that requires a lot of effort in education, a lot of effort in making sure that all our sources of information are not used by some manipulative, especially any kind of foreign forces. So I want to give a overall capture of what I understand from cybersecurity, but happy to discuss further with your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Karahan. I think we have now a broad idea about the concept of cyber resiliency. My first question would be, in the area of workforce, I think I have understood that at your institute, you are preparing workforce. Those who are young coming into the industry, and those who are going to be employed by many of the organizations, both government and non-government, in the future. So, what are your suggestions to increase the volume of people coming into this sector? How do you attract people into this sector? Because to the best of my knowledge, we don't have such an organization in our country, Canada. Of course, we do offer cybersecurity courses from colleges and some sort from the universities, but not a dedicated center like the one that you have in the US. So, what are your suggestions that we should do in terms of increasing our workforce in this area?
Sure. I think the first thing is that first let me say that even in the United States there are not so many of these institutions. It is still in the either computer science or information technology departments hosted. We were the second school of cybersecurity because we were 1 week later than the Georgia Tech that has built their own school of cybersecurity 1 week before us. But and there are a few other institutions who have this holistic approach. But overall, still, unfortunately, that barrier is still being overcome. It has not been totally overcome. But preparing the workforce and having attracting more people into the area is more about making it more accessible and informing the public or the younger generation or overcoming their fears about the overall STEM topics. And this also brings us to diversity discussion in cybersecurity. There are several organizations that want to promote diversity in cybersecurity. There is a very large women in cybersecurity in the United States. I don't know if it has a global effect too, but this is very effective in the United States. Our university has a chapter of them for women in cybersecurity. So bringing some traditionally minority populations into that field, we strive for, but we still haven't succeeded at 50% male-female participation in this field as a STEM field. And that interdisciplinary nature of cybersecurity, when we promote more about that interdisciplinary nature, when we say that a job related to cyber is not necessarily just a very technical job, it has several other components. That was an opportunity that we used to attract more people. And also some underrepresented or underprivileged communities found it more difficult to get into the field. Bringing some role models into the field and promoting those role models has been effective too. We want to make sure that even in our faculty we have that diversity, so that our students show see their future in this field and see some role models that they feel closer to themselves and they can continue in their educational pursuits.
Excellent. I'm moving forward with another question that came to my mind when you spoke about other aspects of cyber defense from mis and disinformation. I was running a project a year and a half ago on behalf of the Department of Heritage, Canada, and I studied with my team, of course, we studied disinformation on Ukraine war. And of course, within the scope of the project, it was very limited in terms of analyzing texts only, and especially this text coming from the chat platforms like Signals and WhatsApp and Telegram. So I would be very interested to listen more from you because you are an expert in this area. So tell us more about how dis and misinformation really is a part of cyber attack. How does it work? And for example, I'm sorry, I'm extending my context quite a bit now, but the reason I'm really interested you to kindly shed light on this mis and disinformation piece in cybersecurity, because we are in this country, we are now dealing with foreign interference. 2 weeks ago, we have published the first report of a public inquiry commission led by Justice Hogg, and she published the interim report where we have witnessed that in 2019 general election, there were foreign interference from People's Republic of China. So this is what is going on currently in our country. So this is the reason that I'm sort of very inclined to listen from you. Tell us more about mis and disinformation and how it works from cybersecurity perspective.
Sure. Thank you. And this is where other disciplines also come into play, like our own political science, international studies, as well as those cyber-related disciplines, and including data science or machine learning as well. I will elaborate a little more on that too. Just for audience to describe misinformation and disinformation. Disinformation is what we define as a deliberately someone in Russia's military creating a fake news and spreading that. And as an innocent person in the United States, I am believing in that and I share that, then it comes misinformation, because I don't have a deliberate purpose to misguide people, but I believe in something and I am part of that spreading mechanism now. So we have to make sure that both are, again, holding free speech as our core value that we cannot give up on. We have to make sure that at least there's enough information that something is part of that. And there, as you have seen, and many of us have seen, there have been some progress on that. First, it was very free. Everyone was doing that. Now, the social media platforms have started putting things like this website is affiliated with this government, things like that, so that even the person who sees the news knows that where it's coming from and has an idea about that. And recently we had, not recently now, it's been a couple of years now, but someone from Turkey, that was one concern I had actually, because from just outside, I was able to observe that some sensitive issues in Turkey, some culturally sensitive issues, for example, what the Chinese Uyghur Muslims have been going through is very much minimized and is not ever in the news. Or Russian influence is very much minimized. But there was a huge anti-American sentiment in Turkey, and that was very obvious from outside. And with a colleague from George Mason University, we have tried to understand what is the background, why is that, and how does the sentiments change. And of course, when you have a deeper look into it, you see some Twitter accounts saying that, for example, the Armenian genocide conflict or discussions in Turkey, as you know, that's a very hot issue that no one wants to touch. If you don't want me to touch, I cannot touch either. But on these things, for example, there's you see an Armenian scholar from Europe having very pro-Turkish government views there, and then you look into it and there's no such person at all. So people, identities have been created as if having a perspective, and that's very from one side, and you can connect those dots. And the other thing is that what we were looking to understand was that how the sentiments were being affected, and the machine learning and data science was very helpful on this to understand the sentiment analysis and emotion analysis. And we have seen that, for example, there's something to use for the policymakers at the high government level. Maybe that's not a surprise either, but at least in Turkish society, the words that President Trump was saying or President Biden is saying had a very high effect. And there were certain times in the relations when you could see that the sentiment going deep down or at the moderate level. In Turkey's case, it was not very high opinion, and that has been, looking back as historically from a political science perspective, you could see those ups and downs and can relate them to some things. But now that the misinformation is part of our everyday lives, and now that uh, despite all the threats to democracy, people are very much involved in democratic process, in decision making of the foreign policy. People might not agree with me on this, but from a realist perspective in the political science, thinking that nations have their own entities and the decisions are made. But now that people are so much involved in the political process, and this process is being shaped, I'm more inclined to the constructivist approach, in that what we see as an anarchy in the international system is what we make of it. And when people are so much involved in the political decision-making process, and people are very much influenced by their opinions, are very much influenced in a social media platform, this is more urgent, and this is leading to overall international stability, stress to overall international stability. So in cybersecurity, that's where comes the misinformation and disinformation in cybersecurity has become a part of the international order as well, because the effect that has been transferred from several social media platforms to the public, and the public's effect to overall political system. In some cases, this is just disruption, like a chaos. What we see as the Russian influence in the United States is more of a disruption than bringing a certain outcome, in my opinion, at least. Or in some cases, this is specifically, and in smaller nations, it is much more possible, supporting a certain leader and having that leader have the government, and then changing the whole trajectory of one country. And what I saw as a former NATO officer was that I saw that as a threat in the NATO countries too, if this misinformation is effective, because the United States was very much concerned, America was very much concerned about the disinformation on here. But what I think it should be concerned about is that the overall alliances that has been built over decades are in risk just because of the misinformation in other parts of the world.
Fascinating discussion. And I think I completely agree with you that the cybersecurity, this particular discipline, is now should be, or let's say it ought to be an interdisciplinary one, because we are talking about politics, we are talking about our society, we are talking about marginalization of minority groups in our society through mis and disinformation. And but this is also quite, I would say, revealing for me, because I have seen in my past research and during the project how you shape perception of a particular group of people through disinformation. And I think you have rightly mentioned that for United States is a big country with a lot of resources. For them, for the US, the Russian attack, these are actually maybe a small disruption. But for a country like us, Canada, we don't have a lot of investment in cybersecurity per se, because we believe that nobody will attack us. We are good people. So this is something we always have in our discussion, in our discourse, even in our political discourses, that who is going to attack Canada? We are the good people of the earth. So this kind of complacency we suffer from, unfortunately. But through your discussion today, I think our policymakers, if they at all watch our webinar in the future, but a little hope that they would really understand the nature of threat that we are talking about. Dr. Karahan, let me switch gear a little bit now and ask you one more question and let you speak. I'm now interested about, you mentioned in your last segment of your explanation that in cybersecurity, if we can analyze sentiment, and you have mentioned a case study in Turkey too, sentiment analysis and and through that we understand which part of information is possibly not correct. So how does it happen? I mean, of course, if you can give some example, that would be great for the audience to understand. But my question is actually, doing this kind of analysis, you really need a very expert group of people using, high end, and now it's all about AI, generative AI, analyzing text, which is far easier nowadays. But you need a very skilled workforce. So what do you see in America, in your area? Do you see that we are having this kind of workforce in the process of making, maybe within next 2030, we'll have enough people in most of our sectors who can analyze sentiment and tell us that this is the threat coming from this area? What do you think?
I'm hopeful. I think we'll have the people, and certainly, yeah, that's why we have cooperated with George Mason. Those skills people were there. Not necessarily we have in our university too, but there was a consortium asking us. The collaboration is a big part of that too, because our grant came from Virginia's Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, and in Virginia we have tried. In the state of Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia, we have tried to bring our forces together to have a collaborative environment. And Commonwealth has established a Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, and my university is leading one of the 4 nodes of that initiative. And in that initiative, we are encouraged for working with other nodes. And within our node, there are several universities in our region, and we are working with those other universities too. So there's a lot of the collaboration comes from. But coming back to the workforce discussion, our School of Cybersecurity is like 6-7 years old now. It is a new. It has been named as School of Cybersecurity in 2020. It's 4 years old, but it has started as a center before that. But recently, last year, just next to us, our neighbor has become another School of Data Science. And another school we are in the process, we have just built, is a School of Supply Chain and Maritime Operations. So these specific areas that we want to focus on, and bringing together all the expertise in that specific topic has been an approach my university has been doing, and I think it's very successful so far, and I believe it will be. For attracting the workforce into these STEM areas, into this, whether it's data science, artificial intelligence, or overall general computer science areas, has required a close connection with the K-12 education system that we have, and promoting more and more, making it more accessible. And part of the artificial intelligence development will also help this. I think you might have seen that. I think it was NVIDIA's CEO saying that we don't need programmers anymore because AI will do more of that, which is of course an ongoing long discussion. But the thing is that people, the part of the argument that I would agree with that is that people who are more worried about the tedious part of the programming will have more room in these STEM areas when they have their design, and they are more easily adjusted to the technical parts, and they can work on that. Mathematics will always be a part of that for sure. So we'll have to bring up the next generation for these areas. But looks like there's an interest there. There's interest in the workforce, and the next generation will be ready for that. I observed this in my own my daughter. Actually, she's at 10th grade now in high school, and I hope I don't get too much into about myself or my family about this. But she was a debate person, and from her childhood on, she was more to social sciences, debating, and more attracted to that. And computer science was never a thing that she was interested in. But just since last year, since 9th grade, somehow the teachers made her like it. Some people in the family made her like it. But now she's very much interested, and she thinks a career in computer science. I'm happy because she's a girl, because we need more women in cybersecurity for that. But I have observed that once they once they put their step on it, they see more and more value in that. The we have to encourage them. I think that's the main thing. At my daughter's case, one of her friends has just a few days before they capture the flag event, told her that, "Why do you want to join this?" And then she, just because of ambition, and she just joined that, and then she saw that she likes it actually. And they are so much used to having searches, online searches, and in these events they learn new things. Those young bright minds, when they see that they can learn and they can develop on something, they are more attracted to the topic. So I'm optimistic on that. I think that the new generation will be more into these STEM areas, and we'll be able to bring more and more diversity by time. It is not moving. It's never moving as fast as we want it to be, but it is moving, and that makes me hopeful about that.
Thank you so much. The audience, we are at the near end of our webinar, this session today. And before I say goodbye to my good friend, Dr. Karahan, my last request would be for him to say a few words about the future of cyber defense, cyber resiliency that he often speaks about. What does he see in the future? Is he hopeful or he's not? Because one thing I can, I can say for sure is that the pace, actually, Dr. Karahan mentioned it, that at the pace which we are getting attacked from the, from the attacker side in this cyber domain, it is much faster, much rapid than that of defending ourselves. So this is why I was steering the discussion that how long it will take us to, prepare a large workforce so that we can remain ahead in defending ourselves, our institutions, our systems, and overall, as you have rightly mentioned, Dr. Karhan, that it is about society now, it is about country, it is about democracy, liberal democracy that we defend in both in America and Canada. And this is what is being impacted through cyber attacks. And of course, through the disinformation system. So before you go, maybe if you conclude, Dr. Karahan, by saying a few words, where do you see this sector and this field is expanding in next couple of years?
Yes, it's about pulling all the strings together, in my opinion, because the deterrence. This is the case with the ransomware, for example. It's many times businesses prefer to pay the ransom because they don't want to continue their businesses. But that has a negative effect of increasing number of ransomware, because people now see profit in that area. And the way to approach this has been building some deterrence mechanisms, whatever they are, either at the governance level or having broader discussions about how to penalize these things, or how we should work international crime, and how we can build more collaboration in the internet, preventing cybercrime internationally. So all these aspects have to be worked, and that brings, I think that brings us back to our initial discussion about the interdisciplinary nature of cybersecurity. As long as we approach the problem as an interdisciplinary problem, as long as we don't want to compete, we don't have the sole method of competing with the hackers, with building more technical capability, but also having our governance, building a strategy, training the individuals, working in the international arena to have a collaboration environment where we can penalize all the cyber criminals, is part of this overall web that we have to bring together, and that's the way we have to approach the problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karahan. The audience, now coming back to you, you were with us for almost 45 minutes now, and we have listened very intently Dr. Karahan's take on cyber resilience, the concept of cyber resilience, and how to build upon that. And in that note, I would like to say that Dr. Karahan mentioned that it is now an interdisciplinary field, an area that where experts should come from various directions and talk about how to defend a system. And if I may borrow his word, that it is we are talking about a system and the defense of a system, and this system includes our lives, our children's life in the future. This includes the democracy, the philosophy that we love, we believe, and we have faith on. And that is why we live in these countries. And this is what is at stake now, because we understand the rapidity of attacks are more than the ability of ours to protect. For example, in the beginning of our webinar session, I shared with you my personal experience of being a victim of cyber attack in our university. University of Winnipeg was attacked, and we lost data. And there was so much of fallout in terms of the after action of an attack. So, dear audience, I leave you today with these humble thoughts. And please keep an eye in our future episodes. We plan to bring experts like Dr. Karahan more into our discussion of cyber defense, cyber security, cyber resilience in the future. And we do see quite a bit of opportunity to cooperate and collaborate with Dr. Saltuk's institute in the US in terms of generating new institutions in Canada, so that we have a large workforce in place, those who can work for the defense of the country. So with this brief note, let me end. And once again, on behalf of the Institute, Dr. Karahan, thank you very, very much for coming today. And you spent a lot of time with us, and you have shared your valuable expertise so that we can learn from your discussions. The audience, Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada is located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in Global College, University of Winnipeg. We do research on global and local conflict issues and its peaceful transformation. Please like us, please share us, and follow us in our social media platforms, because that is how we share knowledge and we build knowledge. With this, thank you. Stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.